the question of regional licensing and registration of motorcycles is something which is timely. First of all, Madam Speaker, if you've been traveling across this country, you realize that there are some regions that do not need these motorcycles. Like if you come to Kisumu, you will find that there are tuk-tuks in Kisumu, but they are not in Siaya, because they are more relevant in Kisumu than in Siaya. If you go to regions like, Suba, you may not need tuk-tuk, you may simply need boda-boda. So the question of regional licensing is something which you need to explore, so that each and every region will license this tuk-tuk and boda-bodas based on their needs. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I have, in my constituency, there are many cases where you find that boda-bodas disappear, they are stolen. Now, when a boda-boda is stolen in Siaya, it is taken to Busia, it is taken to, very far-flung counties. And when you try to trace it, you will never get it. Now, when we have a law that allows for regional licensing of this boda-boda, so if you operate in Siaya, you operate in Siaya. You can never have these cases where your boda-boda is stolen and is being used in other regions. So I think that failing to take notice of some of these, realities on the ground is, I think, not practical, and I want to fault the committee. The committee simply waited for the submission of NTSA, and the way NTSA submitted that this law is bad, that is the way they adopted it. This is not right. I think this House needs to adopt this amendment and allow for seamless operations of boda-bodas and tuk-tuks in regions that need them. I know that, you would argue that, if we do regional licensing, then it would not be possible for a boda-boda license in Nairobi to go to Siaya and etc. And let us be factual. Some of these things like boda-boda and tuk-tuk, they are not supposed to be used for long-distance, transport. Long-distance transport should be reserved for other forms of motor vehicles. And this is the reason why we should restrict them, so that if you operate in Meru, for instance, please let us use them in Meru. Let us not allow a boda-boda from Meru to be driven all the way up to Nairobi. And I think this is going to help us reorganize our transport sector, and issues that are happening like theft, disappearances, use of boda-boda for criminal activities, we are going to tame them. And this can only happen if we enhance these regulations through what my colleague, Honorable Kungara, is proposing. So I want to persuade the House, just like the MP for the Chair of Justice has done. Members, let us support our colleague who has done everything possible to come up with a bill and a law, and let us not diminish all his efforts. And also, Madam Chair, this idea that members come up with very progressive legislation and committees decide to sit on them and oppose it and reject it is something that we need to refuse as a House. Because we are going to discourage members from coming up with ideas that are very good. This thing is very good, but I think NTSA cannot stop us from making a law simply because they think this law is going to take away some of their responsibilities, some of their mandate. So, Madam Speaker, I support this bill, and I want to persuade members to also support it and overturn the recommendation by the committee that this bill should be rejected. Madam Speaker, I submit. Thank you.
Much, Honorable Atandi. The